And it's Arwa Damon, once again, longtime journalist, foreign correspondent, the president and founder of INARA, which is the International Network for Aid, Relief and Assistance. She's been back in Beirut for the past few days to help the people there. And Arwa, we're delighted to have you back on our program today, particularly given the recent events. So welcome back. Number one, just situate where you are in the INARA office and how close it is to the strike we're just looking at with our live camera.
Well, I mean, look, Beirut is a very small city, so it's not too far away. It's about, 1.5 kilometers maybe from where we are right now. And when those explosions do happen, whether they're in central Beirut or even in the Hezbollah stronghold of Dahi, which is in the southern part of the city, they really reverberate throughout the entire capital. And they just send these sort of tremors of fear through everybody that really vibrate in every single cell of their body, every fiber of their being. And this is not just the fear of, the bomb and the explosion that goes off at any given time. It's also fear that is amplified by the knowledge of what has happened to Gaza, because everybody here has been, watching it nonstop ever since it all began nearly a year ago. And they're watching how Gazans have effectively been live streaming their own slaughter and are very cognizant of the fact that, the international community has not really been able to come together and do anything to stop that happening inside Gaza. And there's this very prevalent fear here that, Lebanon, especially, cities like Beirut and other population centers are going to end up looking the way that Gaza does right now.
And I want to talk to you about how you're responding to that. Can you just put your foreign correspondent cap back on for a moment, though, and just this one that arrived in the overnight hours, right in the, as you said, right in the center of Lebanon, you would feel it. What did you experience with this most recent airstrike? Because I've been calling it rare. It's this for the second time, right into the heart of the capital. What did you actually experience, and what is the situation as things continue to smoke today?
Well, it happened, in the middle of the night. And, from where I was, actually, I didn't hear the explosion itself. But then where I was staying at the hotel I'm at, it's very close to a number of hospitals. So then it was just the ambulance sirens going off, over and over and over again as rescue teams, tried to get out and head towards and save the wounded that they can. The medical infrastructure here is struggling quite a bit to accommodate all of the injured. Not just from, the bombings in Beirut, but you also have had over the last few weeks bombings throughout the entire country, especially intense in the south. And then, of course, you had all of the pager and the walkie-talkie explosions. And when you talk to people here, the first bit of conversation is, are you okay? Did you hear the explosions? Were you able to sleep at night? And, people aren't sleeping. And in a lot of these areas, because there's so little accommodation that's left in the shelters, sometimes people are actually just leaving their homes for the day and then going back at night, even though they know that it might not be safe. But you really feel the fear in the streets. It's sort of like completely changed the energy of the city. Beirut is known for being vibrant and alive. It's people, defying the odds and still going out and laughing and smiling despite everything. All of that has dissipated right now. You literally see the way that the light has ebbed out of people's eyes, given everything that has been happening.
And you know the city so well. It was your home for many years. It's where you founded INARA, been there since 2015. You were telling me in terms of doing your work with the charity that you have founded. And you are back there to deliver assistance to the people of Beirut. What kind of help are you offering, and what are you distributing right now in the wake of these attacks?
It's very difficult because it's a population on the move. The Lebanese government has said that more than 1 million people have been forcibly displaced, and some schools, public schools, have opened up as shelters. We've actually even seen in Beirut itself, a nightclub that has turned into a makeshift shelter. Anyone that has a building that can be turned into something is going out and trying to transform that. And what we've been doing is, trying to get food out to those who have been in the parks, who have not been able to find shelter. We were delivering baby milk, diapers. We just got a shipment of mattresses and pillows. So so heading out shortly to deliver those. But there's a lot of families who are contacting us who still don't have shelter, and we're struggling to find them a place to stay, especially those who are extremely vulnerable. There's pregnant women who are out on the streets right now. There's grandmothers, grandfathers. There's people of all ages from pretty much all over the country, but especially from the southern and eastern parts of Lebanon, where the bombing has been the most intense. And then we also need to talk about the traumatic impact of all of this, given everything that Lebanon has been through, especially since 2019. You really get the sense that the population across the country is sort of stuck in the freeze trauma response.
So interesting and upsetting, obviously, to get that sense from you, as you've underscored so well the fear and, as you say, the trauma. That is for the, going back a few years and for the present day. I'm wondering what you're hearing as well from people, Arwa, as they look to the future. Everyone is waiting to see what Israel's response is going to be, but, clearly on the precipice of what could be a broader regional conflict. As you speak to people there, what are their concerns about this widening and escalating further?
It's the uncertainty of it. People will say, we can get through this if we know how it's going to end or have a rough idea of when it's going to end. You have to remember, Israel and Hezbollah went to war in 2006 in Lebanon, and that is what led to the emergence of what's known as the Israeli military strategy that's called the Dahiya Doctrine. Dahiya being the name of the Hezbollah stronghold in Beirut in its southern suburbs. And basically the doctrine prescribes a policy of trying to cause maximum harm to civilian infrastructure and to civilians themselves in an effort to try to turn the population against Hezbollah. And the Lebanese remember those days, which lasted, upwards of 30 days back then, very, very vividly. What makes this even more frightening is that the death toll that we have so far has already surpassed the death toll of 2006, as has the number of injured, as has the number of displaced. And people also remember, some of them, the last time that the Israeli Knesset approved what had been described as a limited incursion of 10 kilometers. And that was back in 1982. And what they saw with that back then is that weeks later, Israeli forces actually ended up in Beirut, and Israel ended up occupying southern Lebanon until the year 2000. So there's not, a lot of understanding in terms of, where is this actually going to go? And then, of course, there's also this great fear and knowledge when they hear the Israeli government saying that they are going to retaliate for Iran's strikes on Tel Aviv, that retaliation is actually going to happen here in Lebanon. And again, I go back to the fact that everyone has been watching what has been happening in Gaza.
Yes.
And the way that, no matter how high that death toll got, no matter how vast that destruction got, it didn't stop.
Arwa, thank you. It's good to connect with you again as you do your valuable work there. I appreciate the perspective and the conversation today. Arwa Damon from Beirut on CBC Morning Live.